Hey everybody, Aaron here. And if you haven't realized from that really poorly done, well, I consider poorly done intro, this is going to be a kind of different vlog than my usual vlogs. This is my fifth vlog still, but it's going to be about Full Metal Alchemist 2003 and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. By the way, I might shorten that at times to FMA 2003 or FMA Brotherhood, only because I don't feel like saying the whole title Full Metal Alchemist over and over again. So if you ever hear me say it, then you at least know what I'm talking about. Um, and also, I have to really thank Anime Lover. I'll put a link to her channel in the description below because I was thinking of doing this later, but she mentioned me doing it. She wanted to see what I would do with this and what my thoughts were. And I'm like, you know what? Let me speed it up and let me put it as my fifth vlog because I might as well, right? Now, I want to say that I have very, very different opinions on Full Metal Alchemist and FMA Brotherhood. I, honest to God, FMA 2003, I actually seen three times in the course of my life. I saw it when it first came out, when it was in 2003, and that was when I was 13 years old. Okay, put that in perspective. And I really enjoyed it back then when I was, still a young teenager. I really thought it was a cool series. I thought it had some really cool concepts, and I saw the movies in 2015, 2000, not 2015, 2004 and 2005 respectively, and I really I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed everything about that show so much. It was a great anime. And then in 2009 or 10 when FMA Brotherhood came out, I watched that too because I heard it was supposed to be very different than the 2003 adaptation of it. I heard it was supposed to follow more of the manga, which I did read the manga actually because I really was one of those people that liked Full Metal Alchemist a lot. I mean, I wasn't so crazed about it like some people are. I didn't buy millions of action figures and I didn't buy posters and stuff like that. But I did like the show and I liked the games associated. I did put some heart into really kind of getting the whole thing out of the experience of Full Metal Alchemist. But Brotherhood, what it did when I first watched it, and this is the point now that I was like 19, 20 years old, was I didn't enjoy it the same concept as I did enjoy the 2003 adaptation. I'm not gonna say I disliked it. I'm just gonna say that it didn't give me the same warming satisfaction, I guess you would say. Yeah, satisfaction that the 2003 version gave me. It didn't have that same emotion to it. Now, in case you don't know this, and don't get me wrong, there's still some people in the world of anime that don't understand the full differences between FMA 2003 and FMA Brotherhood. The biggest differences were FMA 2003 came out while the manga was still just essentially getting its roots in the world. The manga was, I think, maybe not even at 10 volumes, not even, maybe a little less than that. And it had popularity, but what they want to do was, as always with the anime industry, and that's something that people don't understand, that anime hasn't changed in that concept. They wanted to make the money off of it as fast as they could. They wanted to make the anime so this way people would follow the series and enjoy the series even more. So what they did was they instantly started making anime. Now, if you guys don't know, anime actually is a lot easier in terms of mass producing it, I should say, than manga is. Manga takes a lot more art style in terms of, it takes a lot more people to actually do it. It takes a lot more time. It takes a lot more effort. Anime, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that like anime doesn't take effort, but I'm just saying that, anime you can make 10 episodes or 20 episodes of the process of making 2 volumes of a manga series. That's just how long it takes because it's just one is done really essentially by hand, and the other one is at least done with more so, besides just being done by hand, it's also computers involved and the whole case with anime in general. And so you have the technology behind it, and then you only have the simple technology behind it. So what happened was though FMA 2003 came out, and immediately a lot of people noticed that after I think it was I think the actual count is 10 episodes. The anime completely goes away from the manga. It goes down this whole different kind of pathway in terms of story and plot. Now, if you were the viewer back then, you didn't realize that because the manga wasn't done yet. You can't. How can you realize? Oh, hey, this is what's happening. No, you can't realize it. It hasn't been finished, or you haven't seen what is to come. But now that the manga is of course done, and you've seen Brotherhood. I presume most people have seen Brotherhood. You understand the big differences in terms of story, the characters, who the even antagonists are. I'll just tell you like this: FMA 2003 had a huge amount of differences, not just like one or two, but huge amounts where characters who were longer in the series in 2003 were only in the short in 2009's Brotherhood were only in there for maybe like several episodes. For example, Major Hughes, who in the 2003 version is around for like 20 episodes, around that, I think 21. And by the way, I apologize. I did watch it just recently, but I have also watched a slew of anime after watching it again, so I can't remember exact numbers and exact episodes. And I don't tend to do that anyways. I don't like doing that, but I think it was around episode 20 that he, dies. And by the way, also, spoilers. I know I should have said that earlier, but by now you've seen Brotherhood, you've seen at least Full Alchemist 2003. You've had a long time to see it, so spoilers are gonna happen regardless. But whatever. Let me get back onto point, so I don't lose my point. And by the way, that's really easy for me especially when I do these vlogs. If I'm not careful, I actually lose my train of thought really easy. But the biggest thing was Major Hughes died very early on in the manga series. When the manga was completed, it was almost like with, I think, the first couple of volumes he was dead. Meanwhile, in the 2003 adaptation of Full Alchemist, he was alive 20-something episodes, and he had a lot more character concepts, he had a lot more character plot. They talked about him more, they had him in more scenes, and a lot of people loved that. The Major Hughes, to me personally, was one of my favorite characters of the Full Alchemist series, for just being a character that only had one attack, and that was essentially throwing knives at people. He was funny, he was clever, he was the overacting parent that he always showed his picture of his daughter to everyone. And I thought that was so different than most characters in anime back then, and I even think still now it's kind of funny to watch. But Major Hughes was a really cool component to it, and the 2009 Brotherhood version completely annihilates him because the manga series annihilates him really early on. That's one of the big differences, though. Like, having a character stay alive for that long, and then realistically, when the actual adaptation is finished and the real source material is finished, having it where he's like dead within the several episodes in, that's crazy. That's something that you don't see every day. Now, I think, and this is gonna be, I'm gonna follow this vlog up with another vlog and be talking about why I think anime should wait until the source material is done. Is that in a lot of ways, people get mad when you mess with the source material. It's like the book and the media concept, the movie concept, where people are so quick to go and watch a movie after watching it, like reading a very popular book. Let's take Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, for example. People love those books. They worship and idolize those books, and to the point that they've read them multiple times, or they know every little caveat of what's happening in the book. Meanwhile, the movie comes out, and lo and behold, oh wow, this is wrong, this was not here, they got rid of this, they changed this, they altered this. Almost the same way, Full Metal Alchemist, fans did the same thing when Brotherhood or Full Metal Alchemist 2003 finished. They were like, well, wait a second, well, this character was different. Why was Winry and Edward not together in the end? Now, that's okay. It's not something. What I actually liked about FMA 2003, besides the stuff I'm about to talk about in a couple minutes, I actually like that, at least for an anime, despite it not being done source material wise, it went with a different ending. It changed the ending. It made an ending of itself, something that I was okay with. And you know how often that happens nowadays? Almost never. Think about it realistically. How many anime come out nowadays that either are based off of light novels or manga that they have no ending? They get up to episode 13 or episode 12, and that's it. You don't see another season of it. You don't see a completion. You don't see anything. And if it does happen, you see maybe an OVA of it later on, a year later, 2 years later, or you see a movie to show the ending of it. I hate that. I'm being honest with you. It's one of my few things that I always say about anime that I will always say I hate. Is I hate the fact that, instead of making a different ending, or maybe something along the lines of having something be an ending, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as the manga, or having a vision of an ending, change up some things to make an ending. FMA 2003 did that. They took the risk and changed all the plot lines and all the characters, and had it where, for example, again, Winry and Edward not getting together. That was one of the biggest things with the manga series, was they became a romantic item, and eventually in Brotherhood would get married at the end and have kids, and they'd be shown with kids. But FMA 2003 showed none of that. What they had was Winry and Edward and Alphonse being more so like a family. Even though they're not blood related, Edward and Alphonse are blood related, but Winry's not blood related to them. Even though that was the concept, they were still like a family. They were more like brother and sisters, together. And I like that. I thought it was a better way of approaching it, because at least at the point, at least for back then. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the marriage concept of brotherhood. I really dig that. I thought that was nice that they got married. I thought it was nice that they showed they loved each other beyond just the brother and sister complex, because they're not brother and sister. That's the bottom line. I think that it was nice that they showed that, but equally, I think that 2003 captured more so, instead of worrying about the romance elements, they worried about the plot of Fullmetal Alchemist. They worried about what was going on, what Edward and Alphonse were dealing with in terms of looking for the Philosopher's Stone and having to go through, leaps and bounds to always deal with another issue popping up, and their own mortality and their own, thing that they were kids, they were growing up, and that is one of my big things. Is I will always say that 2003 FMA was so much better to me. I honest to God, I thought Fullmetal Alchemist 2003 was quintessential of the series. I think that is the best place to start, but even more so, I think that's the best place that if you're going to watch either one of them and not watch the other one, you watch that one. I think what it did was it had a heartwarming tale. It had characters that were both lovable and also at the same time realistic. People forget, I think, that Edward and Alphonse, when they started off in FMA, either one, Brotherhood or 2003, they were kids. They were teens, kids, but they were mostly kids. They were still growing up. They still had a lot to learn about the world around them and themselves. And Brotherhood streamlines that, because the manga is more so, of course, done at that point. So what it does is it streamlines the concept. It gets rid of the growth and has it more so where you see them almost instantaneously become their adult selves. Meanwhile, in FMA 2003, you see them have to deal with, realizing, hey, wait a second, we are just kids dealing with all this crap. We are young people that, for example, Edward, when he gets into that fight with the guy, the butcher, the first time, when he's dealing with that butcher, he was scared. He showed fear because, lo and behold, he's only a kid. What is he going to do? This guy is a full-grown man. He's got a giant cleaver. He's taken only weapons that he had besides his intelligence. That's scary. That would put, if I was in that situation, I was a teenager, I'd be terrified, And in Brotherhood, it gets rid of a lot of that fear factor, because it brings out the concept right away that, oh, here they are from point A to point B, just dealing with what they have to deal with. It's not that it gets rid of it completely. It doesn't abstain it completely, but it gets rid of that emotion and that heart behind it. It gets rid of their growth, I think, and mostly their growth. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not raging on Brotherhood. I think Brotherhood by itself is not a bad series. I think it's a lot weaker than 2003, especially if you watch 2003 first. You'll understand, hey, wait a second, Brotherhood, the concept of the gate, for example. Let's talk about that real fast. The gate, which is the place that activates once you see the true concepts of alchemy and how it works. In FMA 2003 and FMA Brotherhood, that gate was very different. I like the 2003 version because I thought it was kind of cool to see a parallel world, something where they always talk about the sacrifice and the equivalent exchange factor. I thought that was kind of cool to actually see from another perspective, where that equivalent exchange was not from, just random BS. It was from actual other people losing their lives on the other side of the gate. And that was kind of cool to me. I thought that was, scary in a way, because, a lot of people take for granted certain things that we can do even on this world, but they don't remember how much sweat and heart and blood it took to make it. For example, how many people know how hard it is to make a computer? It's not just made instantly. It might be done by a majority of machines, but there are people who have to inspect the thing. There are people who mess with the little components of it to make sure those components work. Those are people that have to stand on assembly lines and look at various aspects. There are concepts to it. There's effort put into it, and equally, when you see that alchemy's done in Fullmetal Alchemist 2003, you see that concept. You see that, okay, cool, we can make stuff instantly appear and fix everything, but meanwhile, someone else is dealing with all this stuff. We don't realize it. It's put out there later on that you realize, oh crap, people are losing their lives meanwhile while we're doing this. Every time we mess with something on the other side gets more messed up. I thought that was cool. I actually dig that a lot better than the kind of truth concept that FMA Brotherhood goes with, where it's more so a symbolism, not more so a metaphor. But overall, it's just the concept that if I was to say which one's better, if I was to talk about is Full Metal Alchemist 2003 or Brotherhood better, besides saying that FMA 2003 is better, the reason behind FMA 2003 being so much better is not because per se it's just that it's close to my heart or I was more a fan of it. It's that a lot of things, if you look at it, are done better. The story is done better, the plot's done better, the art style is not per se done a lot better, but I think it's done a little more gritty and kind of feels more with the show. While Brotherhood takes the manga approach to it, where it makes a lot of the jokes that the manga has with making the characters really chibi all of a sudden and making them really goofy looking for a second. And don't get me wrong, the 2003 version did that too, but there was a big difference. I just want to say that I think honestly 2003 had heart to it. It had something beating to it. It was a story about growth as kids, growth in terms of getting thrown into something that you almost can't deal with, but at the same time you push forward because you have a goal. And Brotherhood kind of removed that, more so just going from point A to point B, making it more streamlined, because the manga, I love the manga for Full Metal Alchemist, but I always say that the manga was in itself okay. It wasn't that great. It was a fun series, but I think, honest to God, and I hate to say this, and I know some people are going to flip out on me for saying it, but Full Metal Alchemist 2003 almost by itself should just be the only thing that existed for Full Metal Alchemist. There shouldn't be the manga. There shouldn't be the after effects. And even if you don't get the movie, like the movie, I forgot the actual title of the movie. I apologize. But the movie that came out for 2003's version that ended the series, gave it actual conclusion and an epilogue essentially. Even if you didn't have that, on its own, Full Metal Alchemist 2003 ended on a way that was like, okay, that's cool. That's amazing. And Brotherhood ends with just this conclusion that's like, well, I'm happy. I'm happy that everything goes the way that everyone wants it to go. But it's almost like, wow, what happened? What was the struggle there? What was the loss? This series that's talking about equivalent exchange. Was there any equivalent exchange? No. The antagonist was the father, so Hoenn was the father. He was one of the antagonists until he realizes, hey, listen, I'm gonna be a good guy. At one point, he does change, but it's just too simple. It's too simplified. It gets rid of a lot of the kind of emotions and darker tones that 2003 took. But so one of these days, I'm actually gonna review both of them. I want to review. I don't know if I've reviewed. I'm being honest with you, I don't know if I reviewed the first Full Metal Alchemist. I don't think I did, but if I haven't, I want to do both of them, and I want to do a review separately of each one. But I'll be honest with you, just so you would, even if I don't do a review, this is how I want to put it. If I had to review FMA 2003 A through F, I would give it an A+, because I thought that even with its weaker moments of once in a blue moon fillers and once in a while the story dragging, it was a great show. It did something that was so different for its time. Even now, it still holds up, which is something very rare for 2003 anime in general, or 2000 anime in general. There's only so many anime that hold up even today. Brotherhood, I would give a B to. I don't think Brotherhood was bad, don't get me wrong, by any means. I think Brotherhood had a lot of cooler concepts in terms of the art style was a lot nicer, some of the characters were cooler. Also, in general, there was, I think, more kind of a loving story to Brotherhood, because, again, 2003 was more dark and melancholy a lot of times, while Brotherhood kind of made it happier at times. Not because on purpose they want to make it happier, but just things happened happier. It was a good show. It wasn't a bad show by any means. But if the battle was conclusive, if the battle was here, it was conclusive, the winner by clear default would be 2003's Full Metal Alchemist. And it's just overall because it just has a lot more heart to it. I think it just really does work a lot better. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I really enjoyed doing this. I hope you guys, if you guys have any recommendations for me to battle anything else together, like there are all other series that have done this before in the past. Not very many, but there are a few. If you can name some to me, and if I've watched them, I'll do a battle with them. I'll say which one's better in my opinion. But anyways, guys, that's it for today's vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until our next week, I hope you guys have a great week. I hope everything goes very well for you guys. If you have tests coming up, which I know finals is coming around the corner for a lot of you, good luck. Just study. Don't go crazy. I always tell people on finals week in general of school or college, whatever, don't go crazy. Just do your studying, do what you can. That's it. There'll always be tomorrow. You know what I mean? So anyways, guys, have a good one, everyone. Bye.